Quadruple your LinkedIn leads with this simple AI automation in N8N. LinkedIn, as you know, is one of the best platforms to generate your leads, especially for B2B services. And I personally got my first project from reaching out through LinkedIn to various of my connections. If you're trying to build a brand on the platform, connect with other individuals, or do outreach to potential clients, then you've got to see this automation. But a quick disclaimer, this automation won't generate clients for you while you sleep, like many others claim to do, but it will make the whole process a lot easier. It will eliminate most of your manual work and save you a ton of time so you can spend time doing the high leverage things in your business instead. It will scrape leads for you. It will send connection requests directly to those leads on LinkedIn with a personalized message. And it will also extract info from everyone who's reacted to your posts so you can connect with those as well. So if that sounds exciting, let me show you some examples of exactly what it can do. And then we'll run through an overview of how it works so that you can build something like this for yourself or for your clients. So we're going to start by downloading the template. So come to school.com/scrapes. We're going to go to the classroom where we've got all the different templates. And then we're going to go to the plug and play templates library here, where we store all of the templates. You're going to go down to lead generation, go into the flow. It's got all of the information about how you can use this and personalize it for your business. But all you're going to do is go and grab the template from the bottom. We've got the Airtable link below. You're going to download that and take it directly into your N8N environment. You're going to create a new workflow, hit the three dots, import from file, and import that directly. And that's going to come up with the full workflow. So we're going to go into the workflow, and it's made up of three key parts, three key workflows. The first is going to be scraping leads for your business from Apollo. So we'll be able to get unlimited leads, and those actually cost 75 cents per 1,000 leads. So really good value. They'll have all the information we need to reach out to somebody and connect with them on LinkedIn. They'll have a LinkedIn profile, company name, headline. We can personalize it all with that information. The second part of the flow is going to be connecting with leads. So we can pull those leads from Airtable. We're going to use browser flow, which helps us connect to our LinkedIn profile and automate certain actions for us. So we're going to first check if those leads are already connected to us or we've got a pending request with them. If they're not connected to us, we're going to grab some profile information to craft a personalized message using this LLM chain node. And then we're going to send them a connection invite. And you can see an example here of Andrew Sharp, who was in my lead list, who has now sent that pending connection invite. And the message to Andrew was personalized exactly to his profile without me doing a thing. And then the third use case or third workflow for this is if you ever post on LinkedIn, often you want to understand who's reacted to that post or who's commented. This third part of the workflow will again use browser flow to scrape all those reactions from a post. And then one at a time, we can send messages to each person that's reacted or commented a certain thing and apply certain filters there. So you can see on my most recent post on LinkedIn, I've got 31 different reactions, and that has pulled the list of everyone that's reacted to that post so that I can send them a personalized message. And if I'm not connected to them, send them a connection request. So 3 really powerful but simple workflows to help reduce the time spent on manually connecting to potential business leads. I'm going to run through now how to set up all of these stages and show you the tools that we run through. So let's first run through the get leads section of the workflow here. So there's 2 tools we're going to use here. We're going to use Apollo, which is apollo.io, and it's a platform to gather leads, but it's quite an expensive platform to use in terms of the number of leads you can get directly from the platform. So what we're going to do is go through an Appify scraper, which allows us to just make requests on certain URLs or certain search criteria and get 1,000 leads for 75 cents. And you saw the quality of lead that comes through. You get the full email address where available, headline, company name, LinkedIn profiles, etc. So if you've not used Appify before, it's essentially where people build custom connections to certain websites or certain APIs. And it's used a lot when you want to scrape certain data from particular websites. So I've linked to all of these resources in the template itself. There's lots of different Apollo scrapers, but it's this one that I've chosen to use because I found it reliable in the information that it gives back. So you're going to need an Apollo account, and you're also going to need an Apify account. And if we go to console and let's set up the Apify connection first, you can see here that we can scrape unlimited emails and phone numbers from Apollo with just a search URL, no complicated setups. The way we need to set this up in N8N, if we go back to the workflow, is set up HTTP request, and it's a post request, and we're going to grab the URL and we're going to grab the JSON information, and we're going to do that from Apollo directly. It's super simple to do. And all this is going to do is connect to Apify's API to run this for the URL that we're going to look at from Apollo. And it's going to give us leads that match our criteria. So we're first going to grab the URL. And to do that, we're going to go to integrations on Apify, and we're going to click use API endpoints. And it's going to have different actions here, like run actor. But what we're going to do is run actor synchronously and get dataset items. We're going to copy that from there. And that's actually going to include our API token already on the end of the request. So we don't need to worry about having to fetch that separately. So you can see that it calls this specific scraper and also includes our token. So we're going to go back here to our URL, and all you're going to do is copy and paste that in there. And that is the URL you're calling, and it will have your API key on the end of it to validate that it's you. The second part of calling this is actually what data do we need to send in the body. So we'll go back to this here, we'll come out of that, we'll go back to the input, and we'll go down here to JSON, and all we can do is just copy paste this directly back into our node here, and you can see the only thing that's changed is the search URL, and that's the thing we're going to grab from Apollo here. And we've got also the count of 100. We can increase that to whatever we want. So that's that bit set up. What we're going to do now is go to our Apollo window. So set up an account with Apollo. And for some reason, I struggle with the Apollo loading on my Google Chrome, so I've set it up in a different browser. But once you set up an account, it will put you into a page where you can start searching for leads. So you click people on the left-hand side, and what we can do is just go through various filters here for job titles, for management level. So I've searched for founders here because that's my target market. For different industry keywords, so as an example, I've searched for construction here, 1 to 10 employees. You can see that you can apply all of these different filters, apart from these ones down here, which are premium filters that you need a non-free plan for. We don't have to pay for any of this because we are paying for the scraper itself. And you can see on the right-hand side, it will load up a bunch of leads that we're going to then scrape. So all you need to do at this point is copy the URL that has all of the filters applied, take it back to your Apify HTTP request and paste it into there. And that's now going to search for the data that we just had up on screen. So if I just unpin this and I'll run that again, and you can see it's pulled 32 records from here, and we can see Marcin Kluk here. And if we scroll down, that is our end record on here, Marcin Kluk. All we're going to do then is put it into our own leads database. So you can swap this out for another database, but I use Airtable as an example here. And it's just mapping to all of these different fields. And if you go into the school community, you're able to copy this space directly. Otherwise, you're going to need to create all of these fields yourself. But you can see it has all of the information mapped from these specific leads. And the next stage of the flow just maps to our Airtable all of the different fields that we've received from our Apify actor, including the name, the headline, LinkedIn profile URL, all of which we're going to use in the next stages. Now, the next part of the flow is actually how do we connect with those leads on LinkedIn without having to move a finger. So for this, we're going to use a service called browserflow.io, and you can see they do powerful make.com modules for LinkedIn automation. And I wanted to try this out because they've just created a community node in N8N, and I'm going to show you how to grab that in a second. But you can see we can do all sorts of things with this node, get LinkedIn profile data, get profiles from a LinkedIn search. Say we wanted to search a specific term, get reactions or comments from our own posts, send LinkedIn connection invites or send LinkedIn messages. So really powerful steps we can take here that are normally so cumbersome and manual, and you can do it for fairly cheap. So we've got the pricing listed here. And for $19 a month, which is the cheapest plan, you can do 160 profile scrapes, 160 connection invites. And it works on a credit system. So I think that means if you wanted to scrape a profile as well as send a connection, then you could do 80 of each, for example, for $19 a month, which works out about 24 cents per connection. But if you weren't scraping the profile, then you could effectively send a message with a connection invite for 12 cents, so half that price. And it works really well. So what we're going to do is go to Get Started, and you're going to sign up here. And it won't let me do the steps again, but they're fairly straightforward to follow. You just need to successfully connect to your LinkedIn account, so enter your username and password, and then it will show you how to take an action through browser flow. And at that point, you just need to grab your API key, and then we can start. Then we can install the node and start using it. So you can go down here to account settings, and what you can do is just copy your key directly from here, and you can see that it's got your credits, etc. down here as well. So we're going to copy that key, and first of all, we're going to install this node. So for some reason on my instance, it doesn't show the graphic here. So it might be the same as yours, but the node does work. And what we're going to do is go to the little profile icon here, go to settings, head to community nodes, and this will only be possible on a self-hosted plan at the moment. And what you're going to do is you're going to click install. We're going to type in N8N-nodes-browser flow, and you can find the documentation here, which is also linked in the template, and it tells you about all of the things you can do with it. So we can check if we're connected with somebody, get profile data, send invites, get chat history, scrape profiles from a search, send messages. So a lot of different actions that it will take on your behalf. And because it's doing it directly through your profile, there's less risk, but there's still a risk of LinkedIn detecting that and banning you from the platform. Caveat here, you need to be really careful with how many LinkedIn requests and connection invites you do send. Don't just try and send thousands a day. There's a cap on around 150 connection invites per day. And if LinkedIn detect unusual activity from your account, they will send you a warning or block you entirely. So do this at your own risk and be careful with it, but it does work. So you're going to install that, and I can't install it because I've already got it installed, but it's going to pop up here. We're going to go back into our workflow. You will then be able to search for browser flow in the nodes, or it should appear directly in here already. And what we're going to do is just connect to the correct credential. So we're going to go in the edit here, and we're just going to insert the API key that we had on browser flow down here. That's all we need for that. We're then connecting to the LinkedIn resource, which is the only one available right now. And then we choose an operation. So here we're choosing to check if a person is already a connection, and we're passing in the LinkedIn profile URL. And if I go back into a historic execution here, you can see exactly what's happening. So I've just done it for one lead to demonstrate this, but I've put a loop in here so that it does one action at a time, so we don't overwhelm our LinkedIn and it doesn't look suspicious. And what it's going to do is just emulate your LinkedIn, go to those actual pages, click on certain profiles, and actually send those requests. So it actually emulates you doing that. So it takes a bit of time, but it means that it, from a data trail point of view, looks like you're actually taking those actions manually. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the leads from our table here. So you can see that Andrew Sharp is our first lead, and he's the one that we've now connected to. And you can see that he was pulled through that get leads. I've then just limited it to one. So if you want to do it for more than that, then you just need to delete this limit node here. And then one at a time, like I mentioned, we go through. And what we're doing is first we are enriching the leads. So what I wanted to do was craft a personalized message. So I wasn't just sending a generic message, and I was more likely to get a successful connection request. So we're going to check if they're connected. So we're going to use the browser flow operation of check if a person is connected, and we are passing through the LinkedIn profile URL that we've dragged and dropped in there. Now, if we're not connected to them, then we would continue. If we're already connected or there's a pending connection, and you can see in this case there was no connection and there was no pending connection, then we're just going to not take any action. But if we're not connected, then what we want to do is grab their profile. So we are taking another action in scraping their profile. And again, this is the browser flow node. We're getting data from a LinkedIn profile, and you can see that it returns all of the information from that person's LinkedIn profile. So it's actually scraped all of the info from a specific LinkedIn profile, including their experience, their posts, etc. The one bit of information it does not currently grab is inside their posts. It doesn't always grab all the details of every post. So once we've got that profile, all we're doing is asking it to take the inputs of the name, the headline, the most recent experience, and you can pass in any of this information that you want to. And I've asked it to just create a concise, accurate LinkedIn connection message in a certain format, replacing placeholders of an example I've used. And you can see here that it's just taken some information from the bio about Andrew leading the team at Red Fox Construction, kept a really concise message, signs it off from me, seems really authentic and true. Now, this is not the best cold message ever, but this just gives a demonstration of the possibility, and you can craft your own messages here and make them really specific to their posts or their tagline or relation to your relevant experience. So in here, for example, I asked it to, where possible, focus on any commonality between the person I was reaching out to and my experience. And I just laid out a bit of my experience in AI on automation. And I've seen it in some examples do that really well. And then finally, once we've crafted that personalized message, all we're going to do is send a connection request to that URL, again through this browser flow node, and we're going to add a message, and it's going to send that message to Andrew. And you can see that we've sent a pending request, and that has gone with the message as well. Finally, we just update our Airtable. So inside the Airtable, we just want to update one field, which is now we've sent a connection request. It's going to be ignored in future requests because we don't want to reconnect with people we've already sent a request to. Now, the reason I've linked the error and success branches directly to our table here is that actually some people have their profiles on private, and there's currently no way of knowing that until you try and send them a connection request. So the connection request would just fail. But what we want to do at that point is say that, look, we're not going to connect with that person. Let's mark it as a yes and move on to the next person. So it would come through as an error, but we don't want the workflow to stop. We want it to move on to the next person. Now, the third and final part of this workflow, which is also a separate, really useful functionality of browser flow, is that actually if we make a post on LinkedIn, so say for example I shared a video on LinkedIn, I can see that I got 31 reactions, and often people have hundreds of reactions to these posts. What I want to do is go through all of these reactions and send them a message or connect with them if I'm not already connected to them. So all we're going to need for that is just to copy the link to the post. And unfortunately, there's no programmatic way to do this at the moment. So we're just going to have to copy the link to the post manually. We're going to go back to the workflow here. And we're now using the browser flow node again, but we're going to use the operation scrape profiles from a LinkedIn post. You're going to copy the post URL that you just copied into there. And you're going to make sure that add comments and add reactions are ticked there. And what that's going to pull is a list of all of the data of the reactions and the comments. So you have all the data of what everyone said there, which will enable us to filter if we needed to by a certain comment that you've asked people to put on those posts, or if we're just going back to everyone that's reacted, then that's possible too. Again, I've limited it to only one here for demonstration. So when you use this in practice, you just delete these two limit nodes here. And then this is for just demonstration, but you might have two different routes here for if you're connected with them already versus not connected. So for example, I've just split out those individuals into 31 individuals, but I've done that by reactions. So in this example, I'm saying for everyone that's reacted, I want to take an action, but you can also, instead of using reactions, use data here, which is actually all of the comments. So you can see that Victor commented, have watched your 4-hour video, etc. But I just wanted reactions here, so I split it out by reactions, and we've got 31 different users that reacted to that there. And then all we're going to do is pass it into a loop again so that we're doing it one at a time. It seems like a natural flow on LinkedIn and we don't flag any warnings. And we're just going to use the check if a person is a connection again. And we're going to pass through the LinkedIn URL of that person's profile. And again, exactly as in the flow above, if they're not connected, we're going to take a certain action. And that might, for example, be, okay, let's connect with them, either by adding a message and sending a message or just send them a connection invite because they've reacted to our post. So they're potentially a good lead for a certain post we've created. Or if we've already connected with them, then maybe we want to send them a certain message. Maybe there's a link you want to send them in the message here. So we're going to, again, grab the LinkedIn URL from the node where we split out all of the individual users that reacted, and it's going to send them a message, and you can even personalize that with their name, for example. So that is the third flow that makes up this LinkedIn outreach tool. There are more ways in which you can use something like Browserflow and Apollo to actually create those personalized connection requests and lots more actions. But I just wanted to give you a flavor of what is possible because it's a really powerful tool and hopefully it'll be useful for your business. If you want to download the templates, head to school.com/scrapes. And if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe below. Thanks so much.